Okay, good morning, everybody. It's beautiful down here in North Carolina. It's down to the 40s in the evening and warms up to sometimes the 80s in the afternoon. And I've been wanting to do this for a while, but my friend Woody wasn't sturdy enough and I could never get anybody to help me. But today I'd like to discuss the magic of the medicine ball. And I've been using medicine balls as striking implements since 2006. Basically, I always said to kids that the body was a ball and hit the ball and all that. And what happened was I was doing morning workouts and I couldn't use shields because they were football equipment. This was in the off season. So we decided to try the balls. And the great thing about a ball or a body is you can hit it concentrically and apply all the force for movement, or you can hit it eccentrically and impart a spin. And the shape of the ball allows you to hit it at different angles. Now, when we had originally, years ago, taught lift, this was a natural, the V. This is a natural, okay? And if you notice my arms, I've made them into hooks. Okay, it's very important. If we're not pitching softballs here. Okay, we're hooking, and by doing that, I've made myself a little shorter. Also, people really misunderstand this thing as a tool. When I do a drill like this, I'm not saying that you're going to block like this. Okay, we've already talked about force vectors. You're just putting a force that's added to the vector that your body is creating, okay, to change or modify the force of your opponent. We've already talked about endless lifts. After a while, you can't lift any further, okay? There's nothing you can do. And once you get a guy stood up, you want to remember that you have to finish him. So if I get under somebody and I stand him up, okay, and I get him going pretty good, then I want to try to drive him. Okay, I want to try to drive him. Okay, or throw him. Okay, but this is all theory, and what I really want to do is talk to you about the actual drills and why we use them. Okay, the original drill, okay, was not really even a drill. I mentioned these medicine balls to a lot of people. And one of the guys that I mentioned them to was a guy named Damian Wroblewski, who has coached in various places and who I had the pleasure of coaching myself. And he took the medicine ball idea and decided he would use it instead of shields. Now, I'd use it as an off-season thing. I didn't really like shields either, but he decided to use it as shields, okay? And I saw him basically run blocking, and he was coached by me, so he believed in the hooks, okay? And as a matter of fact, I believe he still calls it the uppercut. I don't know. But I said, well, gee whiz, that's not a bad idea. We'll take him out on the field. So I used them somewhat in the off season at Duke in 2006 and 2007, and I decided that in 2008, when I was coaching the tight ends at Elon, that I would try it on the field too. And it was pretty easy. I needed two medicine balls. I had like 6 tight ends. But the first thing we decided to do was replace the 6-point extension with the hooks, the hook action. Okay, and I had always been one of these guys, I didn't believe in this. I wanted guys to come from a short action, and anchor their hands. And as you can see, by making a V with my hands, or what we said was actually a goblet, okay, a goblet, we could catch that ball, okay, and I got this idea a long time ago from a guy named John Goodkunst, who talked about using your hands to catch a man's helmet if he's cut blocking you, and then splash him. Okay, don't try to splash him immediately because he'll go under you, but catch his helmet and then splash him. This was when I was coaching outside linebackers. And John Gutekunst is one of the most brilliant people I know. I mention him quite often. But all we were trying to do was teach the kids, again, the ball is small. Okay, let me turn it a little bit. And we didn't want to flail. We didn't want our hands all over the place because we reasoned that a well-placed contact or impact was better than a very powerful miss. So we just wanted to, and we were coming from the big tree, okay? And what we were looking for was no elbows. We didn't want to see elbows. We wanted to keep those elbows in front of us and make hooks. And the hook, of course, is just a shortened moment arm. Okay, a long moment arm is a disadvantage. It's good for speed. It's not very good because it puts too much stress on the joint. Class 3 lever. Okay, we wanted to shorten the moment arms. And of course, the disadvantage to this was that you had to get very closer than that full extension. So you had to keep your elbows tight in order to maneuver and get into that target. You wanted to hit that defender right underneath the bosoms. Okay, so we didn't want to see elbows. Okay, in some of my original videos, you could see my guys from behind. You couldn't see their elbows at all. And we knew this. If we hit the ball and kept our elbows in front of us, we didn't have much of a stroke. Some guys would do this, but what we were trying to do is just that. And we wanted to do it from the big tree, and I didn't want to go on the hands and knees because I thought it'd be too much. And you don't play on your hands and knees, okay? You play from about that force vector right there. I don't know, what is that, 45 degrees? Okay, so we wanted to get that big tree and you can see what I'm doing. Now, again, punching your way through a guy is only good if the guy has passive resistance. In other words, if he's not massive enough and he's not putting any force at you, you can punch him but I don't think you're going to move him. You just violently place your hands and then you start to grab him and carry him. But this we thought was a good basic start for the skill. We tried to get him low enough, and of course the guy that was holding the ball, we had him hold it to expose the bottom of the ball. Okay. Now I worked for a guy who loved them. I worked for a guy who hated these things. He used to call them the green balls and the hell are you doing and that's the thing. But every kid that I've coached using this has always told me that as if they went on to play, in the next level, like, we usually played on Saturdays, although in the MAC you play on Tuesdays. But the guys that play on Sundays or Mondays or Thursdays now said that they felt like they had a great advantage in hand placement, and it makes sense. Now, we got into that, and then we wanted to have a more dynamic drill. So what we would do, okay, and I've seen guys do this stuff and all. I don't buy it. Okay, we're just working on that last 6 inches, the 6-inch punch. Okay, and the more dynamic drill was hit, step, step, hit, step, step, hit, and drive. Okay. And you can argue, you say, well, you're hitting with your hands and all. Yeah, well, we knew this. If we got our hands on the guy, we could do more with him than our head or our shoulder, okay, or our elbow or a flipper, okay? I mean, just imagine trying to eat, a dog eats dinner with his head, and imagine trying to eat dinner with your flipper. I mean, a flipper is very powerful. There's nothing wrong with it, okay? It just is very limited. There's not a lot of adaptability. If a guy changes the surface of his target, you can't, what are you going to do? We knew this. we could latch onto him with our very weak arms, which we've made short by shortening them, and we could, start to muscle him around. Now recently I've learned that this part of the body, this action, is primarily from the lats, okay? And in order to do this, your feet, both feet have got to be rooted. You can't do this with one foot off the ground. Let me back up here. Okay, you can't throw, you can't torque with one foot off the ground. You can't do it unless the guy happens to be weigh like 0 pounds, But anyway, so that walking deal was pretty good. Then we added a timing derivative where we would go into a shuffle, and then at a certain moment, this ladder would attack me, and we knew that it would teach the distance, the eye distance, the trigger they would throw at the right time. Now again, this is where this comes in. When you're like this and you say, okay, it's ready for me to throw, you could be late, you could be early, you could be wide, you could be flailing. Okay, we knew that if we kept our hands, and this is where the meatballs went in, if we kept our hands close, okay, we could take the opportunity as the opportunity presented itself. If you go on YouTube and study striking a heavy bag, a boxer, I just watched one of these the other day. Guy says, yeah, you can stand there and just flail the heavy bag. But what you really want to do is learn how to move around. The bag, of course, isn't moving around, but move around, move in, strike, back up, move in, strike combo, back up. Okay, if you're static, if everything you do is static, it's not good. Now we coupled this, as we learned the scoot, we coupled this with the scoot sows, boom, okay? And this guy had to move, he had to move in order for us to get the straight timing. So I was kind of happy with that, and used that for quite a while, had some success. The kids really believed in it. And then we went into the mixed hands. At Penn State, there was a kid there who was a tremendous athlete, and he was more of a wrestler than he was a fighter, and he would make blocks, and they didn't, it didn't look right, but the one thing he managed to do was get those hands in, and he played longer. He played even longer than I wanted to play. So he had both hands, and I said the reason, he would get his hands on you so quick. Now, he didn't have that great violence, but to tell you the truth, I'm not sure you need it. I think you just have to attach yourself. I used to say you have to anchor your hands. Okay, but the problem with him was that if he missed or got chopped, both hands left him. So we started to study this a little bit more, and we said, okay, if nobody in sports plays with their hands like this. Baseball, you don't do it. Certainly not boxing. Tennis, golf. I mean, everything has one hand preceding the other. Swimming, running. Okay, so we said, well, why not? Why not use mixed hands? So now I had that one long arm, and remember, the long arm, it isn't a lot different than two long arms. It's not the arm, it's not the stiff arm that stops the guy. You're just trying to make contact, and then you're going to do either a boxer hook to throw him or a meat hook, an uppercut, okay, to try and impart flip. I used to say lift, now I realize it's not lift, it's flip. Okay, I can lift this ladder because it isn't very heavy, but it's a lot easier to flip it, okay? And both of those things have a limit, so I have to, in order to keep going, I have to bring my feet. Once this character is out of control, I can just run with them. I can pick them up and run with them, okay? We've covered this 100 million times. But what we started to do, because of the mixed hands, I said to myself, well, and we always did this type of stuff, okay? We always did the W, the hammers, okay? And I still think there's a lot to be said for the hammer, because it really is tight. And what we say is to turn the turret and not the tank so that we keep our shoulders. And really, this hammer is to help somebody else. Okay, in other words, somebody's blocking this guy, and I'm blocking this linebacker. I could just run by or do that. But what we started to do is use footwork that would help him. And we called it cow tipping because we reasoned that his two legs and my two legs made a four-legged animal, okay? We said, okay, it's a cow. You know, the old, I don't think that people actually do this, but I've never seen it. You would think on YouTube somebody would cow tip. But we figured that these two guys with their four legs was a cow, and the wise guy was just going to come over here and tip the cow. And we knew that if we hit the defender, we'd deplete him, and we kind of proved it. The first time we really used it was against Alabama in 06. We ran the ball pretty good. They still beat us. We were at Duke, though, so, you know, whatever. But the cow tip said that these two guys were the four-legged animal. They're in a stalemate, and you're going to come by, and you're going to tip the cow, knock it over, and go on your merry way. And because you stop to hit this guy, and again, you know, you don't want to hit him like this. You want, what we do now is we downshift. Okay, we just downshift and hit, and we want to. You don't want to hit like this because that's a lifting hit. You want to hit like this. This is a hit that destabilizes the cow. Okay, the W. Okay, Dante Scarnecchia. See my W? Here's my W. I don't know, I got short thumbs, but there's a W. And notice when I make a W, what my elbows do. Okay? When I make the U, my elbows go out. When I make the W, they go in. Right? Okay? So I want the W, I want to go here. We added the avalanche because we knew that we could add more force if we use the force of gravity. Okay? Let me unhook this thing. So we started carrying the ball really low. So we downshift and go down, and we really hit the shit. You know, we want, this is too low. We want the ball to travel that way, but we knew that dropping of the hips added gravity to our force. In other words, Mother Earth wants me to come home. I'm going like this or like this, and all of a sudden I add my 260 off this fulcrum. Bam! I took the cow pretty good. And again, I'm turning the turret, not the tank. You turn the tank, you can hit this guy, but not can you get to the linebacker. Not too good. Then, of course, when we had leverage on the linebacker, okay, I'm going to keep moving this back because the sun's trying to. Let's say my linebacker, let's say this guy's linebacker was over there, and we had to push these two guys this way. Well, I got leverage on both. He is obstructed for his course to the linebacker. So he just says, let's cow tip this. He says, I'm going to make myself into a brick wall. I'm going to get up against this guy, I'm going to downshift, step up into him, make myself into a brick wall. You're going to come and cow tip him. And when we did it, we like to do it like this, with a far foot, bam, knock him over. I'll take him and I'll throw him, and we call this a hay bale. I'll throw him into the truck and chase him, and the linebacker will come right to you. Now, the whole thought process was this. A controlled strike, not a finesse strike, a controlled strike made sense. Okay? A flailing, out of control, it looks like great effort, everybody's happy, all the quarterback coaches think it's wonderful, but, you know, you miss the linebacker, and what the hell? It's hard enough to hit the linebacker when he's, you know, he can see the ball, he feints, he's trying to avoid you. We wanted to create a situation where the linebacker had to come to us. And by defining this guy with the cow tip and the hay bale, it forced the linebacker to come to us. Okay, so we started to use those types of things. Then as I got into boxing a little bit more, I said, okay, why don't we just use some boxing type techniques? So here's the big tree. Now this is the great thing about circular force. Okay, all the forces that I had talked about prior, okay, a pushing force needed a anti-gravity leg to keep me from falling down and a buttress to keep me from getting knocked back. Okay, but the circular force provided both of those things without moving your feet. So it was even easier to take little steps and add circular force. So what we started to do is, number one, just a plain jab. Okay, and notice what I'm doing with my shoulder. I am pulling my shoulder back to drive this one forward. This is the seesaw. Okay, this is, yeah, I don't know, maybe this will hurt you. Okay, so we started out very quickly with jabs, and we said pull this as hard as you push that. Matter of fact, concentrate on this harder than this. Concentrate on that because these muscles are bigger and your resistance to the ground is locked in. So we would, okay, we just jab. And we do that a few times. Then we wanted to do the long arm, the overhand right. Okay, wham, same thing, wham, wham, wham. Okay. Then we wanted to do the boxer hook. So we get down in there. And again, we're pulling. Pull, 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 pull. Okay, I can't hit that, knock it, you know. But what I noticed was, no matter how hard a guy held it, we'd make him stumble. Again, just pulling the shoulder, pulling shoulder. I'm not doing it like this. You can't do it. You're too weak. It's lock your elbows, whack, whack, whack. Then we said, okay, good. This is a hook. This is a hook. And since it's a hook, I mean, you've seen like steam shovels and cranes and everything. The tensile strength, which we've increased tremendously, okay, by bending the elbow, as opposed to this. The lever's too long. Okay, it's good for speed, but this is a lot stronger. That moment arm is a lot stronger. If anybody's a Harley mechanic, you know that you use the curved box wrench to tighten up the jugs on the old iron shovel heads and Sportsters to get around that jug. But you had the same action because of the length. Okay. So we reasoned that we could jab or stiff arm and hook, or do both at the same time, depending on what we were facing. Okay, so if we were facing a soft player, by jabbing, we'd get on him, and this is, of course, natural pass protection stuff. This guy's passive, he's not really attacking us. If we have to run to him, and well, there's all sorts of timing issues. So let's do this, okay, because he really isn't attacking us. Okay, if he is attacking us, okay, and we do this, we might be able to get him. But if we hit him off center, and of course we don't hit the ball off center, we just practice hitting the ball the same all the time. But if we hit the guy off center with this arm, we turn the shoulders and expose him for this. And to tell you the truth, we could get away with it almost simultaneously. And all it is it's not me explaining to the kids what to do. Okay, words, okay, and gestures are ideas. Action is commitment. Okay, letting them do it against some, medicine ball. It's not hitting you back really. And the great thing about a medicine ball is it's easy to move around, and it becomes part of your body. Now these handles, I don't know. Robo said, yeah, we should put handles on. I said, I don't know, maybe. Okay, and I started thinking about it. I drew up some handles. I could never get them made, and finally did get them made, but you don't really need them. You just wrap the ball around. You hold it here. If I hold it like this side of the ball is protected. Make them hit here. So in other words, if a guy's coming from here, expose this side. If he's coming from here, expose that side. Okay, high elbow to hold the ball. It's just targets. Put the ball in front of your chest, okay, to practice hammers. Put it on your hip to practice cow tips. Pretty simple stuff. Now, I made most of this stuff up. Okay, I mean, I didn't see anybody do it. I just made it up. But by thinking about the basics, the fundamentals of force, it was kind of easy. I knew I wanted to hit with my hands because I could hit every which way. Like think about it. You're a ram. You only hit with your head. Okay, your horns go backwards. If you're a bull, your horns go forwards. You only hit with your head, and you can turn, but you have to be facing. If you're a bear, you can do everything a ram does. You can do everything a bull does, plus you can stretch. There's the mixed hands. Be the bear. If you're in space, okay, drag your tail. If you have to oppose a force, change your force vector. Okay, if you're attacking somebody and he's passive, stationary, if you wait till you get up next to him, he might be ambushing you. Try and get contact on him quickly. And once you know you have him, add another force. You don't need the balls. I don't know. It was something to do to keep me out of trouble. The AD caught me twice using, I won't tell you where, but using football equipment. So I started using these balls. And let me tell you a little bit about the ball too. I found, at first I used these Everlasts, the regular boxing equipment. And what we found was a hard ball didn't, like I must have given a clinic to somebody. He went back and used hard balls. So when I got a job, I said, we're going to use these medicine balls. This is going to be great. And the kids were distraught. I'm like, what's the matter? I said, Coach, we already do that. Our coach must have gone to a clinic, saw you speak, and came back with all these ideas. But this ball is soft. Okay, it gives. It feels like a body. Okay, it's basically a heavy bag. It's a small, round, heavy bag. It's a small target. Okay, I can hit it eccentrically, but that's not really why we want to do it. Okay, but that's why you need drills that don't have a ball too. When we use this ball, it's maybe 3-4 minutes once the kids get the routine, and it's usually pre-practice. It's not, once we get going, it's bodies. But now shields, you're holding a shield, and one kid holds a shield like this, and olays, and you don't feel the body. This thing becomes part of your body. You feel it, okay? You're holding it. You feel it, okay? You want to hit the bottom, you hold it like this. You want to hit the side, okay? This side's blocked. This side here is the side that's open. Same thing, switch it, okay? And if you want to hit it straight ahead with a W, it's like that, okay? Like that. And you guys are holding the ball, they feel it, okay? But once again, what are we trying to do? We're trying to control and apply our force to a pinpoint. Okay, they say the hardest thing in sport is a round ball being hit by a round bat. Well, think about it. Round ball. Okay, if I can have this unbelievable power in the weight room if I don't apply it. And if I'm stalemated, okay, if somebody stalemates me by hitting me in the chest, and I don't add force, when I take a step, I get driven backwards. But if I add force, I can move my feet. Can't do it. Can't add force without your hands. So this is the mystery of the thing. It's not I mean, believe me, I don't know. It's just, it's something, you know. We stumbled onto it. When I say we, I mean, you know, I had to do something because I wanted to train, and I always talked about balls, and there were the balls. We actually started using the hard balls, and the first couple of times the kids couldn't, we didn't know how to hold them. Guys were getting hit in the face, and okay, let's hold it like this. So, hey, I'm not saying you need it. I'm not saying anything. What I'm saying is if you believe in hand placement, okay, mixed hands, okay, split hands when you're trying to stretch, when you're trying to wedge or wad up a gap, you know, help put your hand on this guy where you're going and drag your hand on this guy where you're leaving. All these things require that hand-eye coordination and the concept of striking distance. Okay? I can strike anything that I can touch. If I can't touch it, I got to move up to it, or it's got to come to me. And I know that if I strike late, okay, I'm going to get shoved back in my stance. Ooh. Okay, I watch all these guys that make millions of dollars. They're like this. They get hit in the chest. They're getting walked back into the quarterback. Just do that. And you know, like, hey, I don't even have a job, but just diffuse some of that force. Okay. Remember, if he's running, it's easier to turn him than it is, or throw him up. But throwing him up is short. It's easier to turn him and throw him than it is to stop him. Okay? If he's standing there, go get him. Go get him. All right? That's my thing for today. Hope you like it.